the July 5th board meeting to order. The record show that all aldermen are present. Need a motion to amend the agenda, item 2A, to present employee longevity awards.
So moved, Mayor.
Second by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Alderman. All in favor?
Aye.
We need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Companion, will you lead us in the prayer and Ms. Burgess in the pledge?
May we bow our heads, please. Lord God in heaven above, on this day after the 4th of July, we thank you for allowing this nation to enjoy our life, our liberty, and our pursuits of happiness. And we especially pray for the men and women, past, present, and future, who have given us this great nation. Father, as we go about the business of Ocean Springs tonight, give us the wisdom and the strength to make the right decisions for all the citizens in this community. God be with us all. God bless us all. For all these things we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, move on to longevity awards. Three of them.
Ricky must have done good job.
First we want to acknowledge Lieutenant Jonathan Carroll, 10 years of dedication to the Ocean Springs Police Department.
You want to get in it? Get in.
Yeah.
We don't have all mine, sir. We don't have all mine, sir. Okay, well, you're up here, Chief. Lee Phillips, police research analyst.
Yes.
15 years of dedication. Wow. To the Ocean Springs Police Department. And last but not least, Michael Smith, 30 years. Thank you.
His family is here also.
My family here too. We'll get them in there too.
All right,
Don't get into it.
yeah, let the boys come.
Alan, can you help us out, please?
That's a great picture.
You know, that it's been a privilege, an honor to be here before you all. And doing what I'm doing, it's been an honor. It's been a journey, but I want to thank everybody and my family and all for supporting me. And couldn't do it without God. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have some public hearings. First one, item 3A, is an ordinance to adopt, amend the UDC to revise chapters 3 and 7 related to medical cannabis facilities and establishments. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the amendment with the addition of allowing medical cannabis cultivation facilities in the CH zoning district as conditional use. Need a motion to open the hearing.
Make a motion, we go into public hearing, Mayor.
Motion from Mr. Cox,
Second.
second from Mr. Pena. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yes, as you have in front of you, this was held as a public hearing at the last Planning Commission meeting, and essentially what it does is it incorporates the definitions as provided by the state and identifies the zoning districts where they would be allowed and updates the matrix accordingly. As the mayor did say, the Planning Commission recommended that the cultivation be allowed in regional commercial highway, CH, as conditional, so it would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. But other than that, that was the only change that they made. And then I'll have Mr. Morgan have more details if you have any questions about what's been provided. But this would simply allow for it to be identified as an eligible use in our code.
What's the distance from churches and daycares?
It's the same with the state. So the state has identified that, so we follow the state, 1,000 feet. Mhm.
Right.
So
Don't really have anything to add to what Carolyn said. She covered it all. Like I say, you say that the definitions that are in the UDC are the same as what the state provided in its legislation, and the distances are not in the UDC. They are controlled by the state, and they will be part of their review process. Thanks.
But that will not even be considered in our review process?
Well, no. Well, we will. That the process has not been worked out at the state level yet. How they will consult with us on those distances, but we will depend on the state to
Surely
do
that should be a consideration. I mean,
The state has to certify them, so.
If somebody comes forward to us and says, I'd like to do this here, shouldn't we just say, you're 300 feet from the daycare, you can't?
I mean, we have the capability to do that, and I suspect we will be double checking what the state does.
I believe, and from what I've heard, that variance can be allowed 500 feet, half
Correct.
of 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
If that's,
With the
By the
consent.
state?
what you want to do.
It's, yeah,
By the state.
it's
It
very
would be-
similar to the way ABC does now with the liquor laws.
It has to be with the consent of whatever childcare is within that 1,000-foot area.
Just like with most things, when we are reviewing any request, it would have to have received, or it would have to meet all state criteria. So we don't have to duplicate the exact numbers in our code. Same way with liquor stores and whatnot, we defer to ABC on that. We don't have that specifically in our code. They trump us as far as distance and everything. So they would not be able to get certified, even if we said they could be there at that location, they would not be able to be certified if they didn't meet state requirements. So rather than duplicate it and have to update it, we just defer to them. But that is what it is now, is 1,000 feet. Same way with liquor stores.
And that'll depend on the Department of Revenue or.
Correct. Whatever agency is in charge of regulating those permits.
Anybody from the public would like to speak for or against the public hearing?
Carolyn, from the looks of it, it's, commercial highway, but with all the 1,000-foot buffers, it's very limited where these
Yes.
exist at this time.
At this time, yeah, it's very limited, and the map that is included in your packet is just for discussion purposes. Obviously, we just Wade took the buffers that had been provided by the state, and we just did a general overlay. It not to say we might not have missed a church or a school somewhere that we didn't put that buffer on, but it does illustrate that we don't have a lot of open areas, especially for the cultivation.
And they have to be 1,500 feet away from each other, too.
Correct.
So that, right,
Not the cultivation.
yeah, the dispensary.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that are kind of out of our control that are going to make it limited in and of itself, just by nature.
Anything else? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Second. By Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Aldermen. Any other discussion? Do the roll call, Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. Public hearing.
We need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Need a motion, yeah, need a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance, Mayor.
Got a motion by Mr. Cox. Second by Mr. Arthur. Need a roll call?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, public hearing 3B, ordinance adoption amendment to the UDC to revise chapters 3, sections 3.94 and 3.95 related to fences in the downtown and Porter Avenue Corridor Overlay District. Planning Commission recommends approval of the amendment with the addition of a provision that chain link fences along the rear yard side, street side yard, and interior street yard lot lines shall be extended to no closer to the front lot line than the front building line of the principal building to the nearest abutting lot on parcel.
Yes, real straightforward.
Clear as mud. I need a motion to open public hearing.
Make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
By Mr. Cox, second by Ms. Burgess. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Carol?
So a little simpler than what it sounds, but essentially this does just apply to the two existing overlay districts, Porter Avenue and downtown overlay districts, and it would restrict the use of chain link in the front. And the clarification was made primarily when you get a situation where you've got a corner lot and you've got a front yard that is someone else's side yard and that kind of situation. So that's why it sounds very complicated and what he had to add to it. But it allows those fences to only come up if you have a chain link in your back and side, but it is visible to the public. It can only come up to the front of the house. So it results in a less chain link visible from the street. There's very few cases where that happens, but it did need to be covered in the ordinance. But the impetus of the amendment was simply to not allow chain link in the front of the properties in these two overlay districts. It gets a little convoluted, so wait, I'm not sure if I described that.
If you would, there's a graphic a few pages on past there. If you go into that, I think kind of maybe help explain.
But in 99% of the cases, we're only talking about the front yard. It's just those cases where a
There you
front
go,
yard,
that one.
a corner lot, and you've got the side yard is actually abutting the street.
Well, I guess my question would be is why is it just the overlay district? I mean, if we're gonna address this and it's that big of an issue, it needs to be addressed throughout the whole city.
That's where we started because that's where it become an issue, and there was already some different restrictions regarding fencing in those districts. So we looked at that easily. We want to take a more cautious look overall to make sure we're not creating any problems.
Some of the planning commission members had the same comment, question as you did, and I think we'll be looking at this at a citywide basis. We want to start off with the two areas where it seems to be have the most issues, you might say.
Well, I mean, the conflicts or not, you're not going to ask people that's got them now to take them down.
No.
Oh, absolutely.
No, it's for new fences or
Grandfathered
replacement
in.
fences. Right.
So
Just for new ones.
I don't see where it'd create any more conflict for people out of the overlay district than in the overlay district.
Well, there's the nature of the properties, and a lot of these two districts have a lot of mixed use, and so it's the juxtaposition between commercial and residential in the same area, and that's where it's become an issue. And so that was just the easiest place to start. We just want to make sure that there's no, not necessarily conflicts, but some unintended consequences if we went citywide with it.
I second what Mr. Cox is saying. I think what's good for downtown and Porter Avenue is good for Ocean Springs.
And we're looking at it for
I have
citywide.
had complaints in various parts of my ward where people have fenced in their front yard, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
The neighbors have complained, adjacent neighbors as well as the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And
Now, we're
I
not saying that
support-
they can't fence it, we're just saying they can't use chain link in the front. That's all that this ordinance restricts is the materials. And the height is already regulated, so it's,
Well, I'm concerned, I support the ordinance, but I'm concerned that we'll drop the rest of it. We won't look at the rest of Ocean Springs.
we're looking into it. And
Well, I would have to think about whether I support this ordinance, vote against it so that you do look at the rest of the town or not.
I promise we will.
I'll guarantee we look at it.
Yeah.
Any other discussions? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak for or against the proposed ordinance change? Okay, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
Again, no need a motion to approve or deny the amendment.
Make a motion, we approve the ordinance adoption, amended fence.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Aldermen, second by Ms. Burgess. You roll call, Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
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 Collectively, aye.
Aye.
Well, Carolyn, my
Okay,
going is perfect.
motion carries 6-1. Let's repeat the name. Okay, item 3C, reconfiguration of 2 adjoining parcels. You did vote nay, right? You did vote nay. Okay. Item 3A, reconfiguration of 2 parcels, adjoining parcels, 1109 Iola, PID 61063029.000, and 1120 East Cherokee Avenue, PID 61054018.000. Planning Commission recommends approval. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Move, Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Cox,
Second.
second by Mr. Alderman. All in favor?
Aye.
What you have in front of you is simply taking some square footage from one property, the properties about each other in the rear, and moving it from one parcel to the other. However, the properties are in separate subdivisions. So what that requires is basically a replat, plat modifications and reconfiguring both parcels in a more complicated way than would seem necessary. But that's what you have here is taking some of the property, the rear of one parcel and reconfiguring it to the abutting parcel to the rear, which is in a separate subdivision. The Planning Commission did recommend approval, and if there's any questions, I think we have the applicant and Mr. Morgan that can clarify anything.
Anyone have any questions?
Is this just to make the one parcel big enough to be used for?
Well, they're both already big enough, and then they remain compliant. It was just an agreement between the 2 property owners.
Yes, I can make the motion to recommend that there are no individuals be adversely
Right.
affected or directly interested in the reconfiguration of lot 29 of Davis Mills subdivision and lots 18 and 19 of the Cherokee Glen subdivision, as well as motion
Before
to.
you go
Well,
to
yeah.
the public hearing first.
We're still in
Oh, we have to
public.
get on that one.
But yeah, it will require two
Okay,
motions.
so,
That was different.
anybody have any other comments? Does the public have any comments on this lot configuration? Okay, need a motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Ms.
Second.
Burgess, second by Mr. Alderman, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve?
Well, you need two motions.
Right. So motion to recommend that there are no individuals be adversely affected or directly interested in the reconfiguration of lot 29 of Davis Mills subdivision and lots 18 and 19 of the Cherokee Glen subdivision. To recommend approval of the reconfiguration of 1109 Iola Road, lot 29 of Davidson Hill subdivision, 1120 East Cherokee Avenue, lot 18 of the Cherokee Glen subdivision as requested in the application.
Okay, you got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Alderman, roll call.
Aye.
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 That motion carries. A motion to approve or deny? You have 2 motions, right? Another
Yeah,
motion.
we need a motion to approve the configuration.
Approve the second.
Yeah.
Read the motion.
I did. I read them both. Then you read them again?
Yeah, they need to be done separate. Well,
Separately?
Here we go again.
it's up to
You're
Ricky.
the second motion. Make a motion.
Yeah, the wording's in there in the PC, so she made them both at the same time.
Motion to
Yes.
reconfigure the 2 adjoining parcels, 1109 Iowa and 11
11.
Cherokee. Yeah.
Motion.
Okay, motion by Ms. Burgess,
Second.
second by Mr. Aldermen. Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Public's invited to address the board for up to 3 minutes each, for a maximum of 30 minutes total, only regarding issues listed on this agenda. Please identify yourself and the agenda item you are addressing. If you'd like to address the board, please step forward. All right, next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry, come forward.
Hi, my name is James McClendon. I got a property on 1808 Bentonville Boulevard. And I was about 2 weeks ago concerning the privacy fence. I didn't say anything. But 2 weeks ago, before y'all approved the ordinance, I was required that I have to put a privacy fence on a new construction. But it's not downtown. It's off 90. And I wonder why.
Required a privacy fence?
Yes, on the east and west side. Now, y'all
Where
say y'all gonna
above?
try downtown, but 2 weeks ago, before this ordinance was passed, presented, I got a letter from the planning. And it required me that in order to get my permit, that I have to put a privacy fence on the east
So
and
this
west
is
side.
commercial property that abuts residential?
Yes, it's
That's
a
correct,
mix,
is
it's a
that
mix,
right?
it's a mix, yes.
That's why,
That's why.
because it's commercial abutting residential.
That's in the UDC required.
So is that before this ordinance was passed just a while ago?
This ordinance doesn't affect.
Does not affect,
Yeah,
it.
it
It's
doesn't
only
affect
separate ordinance.
Only separate.
This is strictly for chain link fences in front yards in the downtown district. Not privacy fence.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to address the board concerning an agenda item? Okay. Old business, discuss the revised urban renewal map. We've been working on a comprehensive plan, working on a redevelopment authority, and the first process or step in developing a redevelopment authority is identifying an urban renewal zones throughout the city. So with some input from various folks, planning and so forth, Wade, and also the planner who's doing a comprehensive plan, this is the map we've come up with. So it's just for discussion. We're not voting on anything. Robert, you want to give us a little
Sure.
guideline here about what we...
Very briefly, this is all, of course, controlled by statute, but here's the process we would go through if we wanted to move forward with this urban renewal plan. First thing is for the city to actually come up with a plan, or urban renewal plan, which is what is up on the board. And then from there, we would submit it to the planning commission. And the planning commission has 30 days after we present it to them to make comments, to make recommendations, or to approve it. After 30 days, it comes back to us. At that point, we notice a public hearing. The statute doesn't give you any time limit, so we can do it as soon as we want to. At the public hearing, the public will be invited to come and make comments. Following that public hearing, either at the same time or soon thereafter, we can have a formal meeting of the board, and we can vote on whether or not to go forward with the urban renewal plan. Before we can do this, we have to have a master plan, which we do have. It's old, but we have one. But that would be the process, and then once we vote on it, it is effective immediately. Unlike a lot of ordinances and stuff, it goes into effect the next day. So that's the steps. And that's the first step to get to a redevelopment, downtown redevelopment.
Even if it's not unanimous?
Statutes, yep, the statute specifically says it shall be immediately valid.
But right now, we just wanted to kind of let everybody look at it. If you ask questions, got any questions, we're glad to answer questions. Any modifications, what have you.
I'd like to
Pretty
see,
much.
I'd like to see some zoomed in versions of each area, so we can see exactly the lines of what streets they follow. It's hard to tell from that map. So basically, three new maps that show each
Why
one of
don't you
those.
take, let's do the, kind of from.
There's really three different areas.
And then that central area, and then going out
Yep.
to the east.
We can get some zoomed in, better quality.
What we'll do is, once we get this thing finalized, we'll put a parcel number to every parcel that supplies.
And Rob, before we have our map at the same time, we're gonna have to make a finding that these areas are in fact meet the definition. Has to be blighted or crime or there's all these, but we have got to support this map by making findings as a
And
board.
that's why I want to see the exact lines, because I'm looking at generic lines here. This looks like somebody took a magic marker and colored it in. So I want to see the lines that follow.
It does follow parcel
I know,
lines,
I know,
so,
we just
yeah.
say the look from here,
Yeah.
from 1,000 feet. You know.
It's just the first, this is your first 1,000 look.
Right.
Look, we're going to be moving in on it. Okay, any other comments on that?
Well, just to go back to the last meeting, I did ask that we go out for advertisement on this redevelopment authority for applicants. So
Yes.
I haven't seen any advertisement for that. That needs to hit that needs to get out there for people to apply.
We're trying to just get, take this step at a time, this is the first
I
step.
know the problem is, as soon as this thing is done, it's approved, like Robert said, immediately. And then you're gonna want that
We're gonna work.
redevelopment authority, and if we don't have the applicants, we're gonna slow down the process.
Mayor, if it would be helpful, I can send out by email tomorrow the Pascagoula Redevelopment Authority, how they set it up. It's about a 15, 20-page document, but everything from the members to how they're appointed, their terms, to everything about it is laid out in the ordinance that Pascagoula passed. If you'd like me to send that out to the whole board, just to have, and of course to Carolyn and Wade as well.
Definitely like to see that, but I know it's going to need some tweaks.
And that's a good beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to new business. Item 6A, request permission to execute the Overstreet and Associated agreement for professional services for frontage sidewalk repairs, budget phase 2.
So this is just to get a contract to start the design process for the second phase of the front beach. And it'll be majority FEMA funded. There may be some city and county contributors.
This is going to be about a
Yeah, it's roughly about $900,000.
Well, I make a motion, we give permission to execute the contract with Overstreet and Associates.
motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. President. Any discussion?
Yeah, I've been looking at this, and I know I got some of the information. I know they're increasing the footer size and increasing the depth, and it piggybacks on the first part of the design. But, when you add the engineering at 85,000, survey, construction administration, $110,000, that works out to $157 a foot on that sidewalk. And to me, I get it. These things a lot of these fees are standard fees, but it just, I'm looking at a lot of money for a sidewalk, put it that way. $157 a linear foot for a sidewalk. Some design, construction administration, I don't know, it just seems excessive to me.
Some of our construction administration, I think Sarah's going to be able to do in-house
But that's listed, but that's,
management of it.
okay. Okay, well, but
We-
there's
we have,
$20,000 we're getting ready to approve for construction administration. So,
That's an up to number is what I'm,
That's a not to exceed. The 85,000 is what that, and if there's a survey.
okay, then my next question would be, and how often do we go up to the limits? I'm sure that happens quite frequently.
Yeah, it just depends on the project. 20,000 for construction administration really isn't a lot for this because it's 9 sections spread out along the beach. I mean, it goes 75% of the beach.
You can handle it, right?
Yes.
Sarah, is there any
Somebody's motion
permitting
needs to be
in here?
amended to take that out.
From what I'm told, there's no permitting.
Okay.
It should already be covered by the previous.
Yeah, we're not going outside the footprint.
Any other discussion?
And permitting is not included in the price.
That's sufficient.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Got 5 ayes and 2 nays. Okay, ordinance adoption, item 6B under new business, changing the name of Gum Drive to Turtle Cove. Carolyn?
Yeah, exactly.
So-
That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
But Gum Drive is, like I said, nobody knows. There's one house on it, and there is a street name, but it doesn't even show up on, on the map correctly. There's a lot of confusion because in Gulf Park Estates, there's a Gum Street, and Google will send people trying to find her house.
That's far
There.
away.
It's 15 miles. Yeah, it was. So.
Only in Ocean Beach, and she has a short-term rental or Airbnb.
Yeah.
That she said even with the map, people they don't understand. I didn't know where it was either.
So it's the only house on it, and there's no reason to.
It's at the end of Dogwood, yeah, which is in town here.
So she requested Turtle Cove. That's what she calls her short-term rental, and nobody else lives on the street, and it just needs to be changed to rectify confusion with E911.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Need a motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion, we approve the ordinance adoption, changing the name of Gum Drive to Turtle Cove.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Wade. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's a roll call.
Roll call.
Yeah, it just has to be done by ordinance, so it's a roll call.
Okay, roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
So that's what it is.
Item 6C, this is an ordinance introduction, discuss changing the speed limit on Ocean Springs Road north between Highway 90 and Medina Road to 35 miles per hour. Burgess?
Yeah, so, currently the speed limit from Ocean Springs, from Bienville to King Henry is 35 miles an hour. And then it jumps to 45 miles an hour all the way to 57. So, in light of the fact that we've had several accidents at the intersection of Ocean Springs Road and Dina, had quite a few residents ask if it's possible that we lower the speed limit. Not even opposed to possibly doing a flashing yellow light there at Dina if that's possible. We do have the daycare there as well. And with the Dollar General being built, we've got a lot of kids that are going to be crossing that street from Monticello Woods and Cleoca to go visit the Dollar General. Mom's going to send them to go get a loaf of bread or go get you a snack. And I just think it's a matter of public safety that we lower the speed limit to 35 and continue it. So from Dina Road south to Bienville will now be all 35. And what that will do also is keep the golf carts off because it's too high for the golf carts. Because I don't think right now at this particular time with what's in store for that road, that section of road, the golf carts are a good idea to add to the mix. But after the road is complete, then we can look at adjusting the speed limit based on the engineer's recommendations.
There will be some recommended adjustments, but that won't be for another
Right, until
year or so.
that's done. But in the meantime, we can lower it to 35 at least.
And I think the yellow light is a very good idea also, so people know.
Some other suggestions.
Jennifer, do you think that's going to really slow them down? I use that road pretty often. So I use every road in town, and I'm probably 10 miles. Chief, don't hear this. But I'm having a little question there whether it's really going to make a bit of difference. Because once folks leave 90, they crank it up to minimum 45.
Sure.
And I just don't,
I think
don't see
patrolling's
that.
going to help.
The what?
Patrolling may help as well.
Well, I
In
don't know. We
addition to that-
can't hire enough policemen to patrol every street in town.
No,
It
we
just,
can't.
it just we forget
But
that.
I think doing nothing at this point and leaving it at 45, I don't feel comfortable with it just because of the additional pedestrian traffic that wasn't there prior to the Dollar General.
Well, we've got Dollar Generals on Highway 90 and other major thoroughfares at 90 for all practical purposes, 45. We got a ton of businesses on 90 that pull out a parking lot out of a business into a 45 to 50 mile an hour street. And where you at on 90?
Those are kind of commercial highways and there's not major
Safety, at least we
subdivisions.
can try.
coming out of it.
All we can do is try.
Anybody want to make a motion here?
Yeah, I don't hate the addition of the Dollar General. That's a main thoroughfare. I think it needs to stay 45 past King Henry. I just don't see that much difference. I mean, I don't see, I drive Ocean Springs Road every day. I don't see any, I mean, there's no bicycle traffic or anything. When the Ocean Springs Road project is done, we will have a 10-foot wide multi-purpose path along the road to accommodate the foot traffic. But I don't think adjusting the speed limit at this time. I don't like that idea.
Well, one thing is, I mean, we keep, at every meeting, now I know we got 2 on this agenda, we're going to this, we need to have a study or even a workshop where we all get together and bring these streets in our wards and say, this is what needs to be done with speed limits, and do it all at once as a blanket ordinance, rather than piecemeal this with, 50 ordinances in a year on the street. Scale limit change.
Ricky, so you just did one.
Huh?
Didn't you say we just did one?
We
Carolyn's
provided
got all the
a,
paperwork. Carolyn can resend it out and we can just review all the streets again.
yeah, we did a list of all the
3 years
streets
ago?
and it was just
2
within the past year or so. We could just compile the list of all the streets and what the posted speed limits were and so Amanda has
If you'd
that.
rather do that, I mean,
I think it would be better just to do it all at once. Everybody come back, but, these streets in my ward need to be tweaked instead of this 1 year, 1 there.
I mean, we can provide that again, and Ocean Springs Road will have some recommended modifications and then, with the project when the changes are done. So if you wanted to wait until that came about instead of changing again, but it will be designed to a lower speed. But this project only does go to Dina, this first phase.
Doing them all at one time sounds like a great idea. Sounds like a great fix, but it's not gonna happen. We're gonna constantly be bringing roads one at a time to get checked, even after you think.
Not
you've got
every
them
meeting,
all.
though.
Maybe not every meeting, but I mean, I've been on this board for a while and it's pretty frequent. And I mean, it's in every ward. It's not just one ward. Every ward has their streets, so.
We can send that back out if
This
y'all
is a
want
good
to
move
look at it.
To move forward with it.
Okay. All right. You want to make a motion?
I make a motion to adjust the speed limit from Dina Road south to the end of
All you can ask for is an ordinance at this time.
Or,
Right.
right, because we have to.
And to be
it has to sit
in the city clerk.
the city clerk's office for 2 weeks, so make a motion to put that in the city clerk's office for 2 weeks. Create the ordinance.
As the ordinance was presented for tonight.
I do have a question then, so as adding the light, if that were the option, if we wanted to add the
Does that have
flashing
to be
light,
done
that
by
doesn't have to be part of the ordinance, correct?
No, it's just the
Do we
speed
want to
limit.
spend the money on adding a light when the road is getting ready to be done?
Yeah, later time.
I'd say what we could do is introduce that. I'll look at a design element of where it could be placed and then just incorporate it. I think they've already started looking at that for that crossing, so that would be a part of the Ocean Springs Road project, is some sort of crossing flashing, unless there was a temporary measure that you wanted to take in the meantime.
And I
Something.
think, because my understanding was they were gonna start announcing the decrease in speed limit all the way from 57, so they were gonna alert drivers that.
Right.
It's about to, speed limit is going down at that.
Yeah, it would decrease gradually, in accordance with whatever the recommendations are, which I don't have with me, but yeah, it would be decreased to 35 at some point and then down as you get closer to the highway. But at that location where you're talking about where the new Dollar General is, we were looking at, because the sidewalk does extend up to that, I know that that's one of the last things that they were working with MDOT in, is crossing and having some sort of, not necessarily a push button, not a light, but just a flashing pedestrian, and that is more than likely going to be incorporated in that project, unless there was something that Public Works had on hand or was less expensive that you all wanted to do. But that wouldn't need to be any action, I don't think.
That's not part of the ordinance, but that was my question. Okay, so
You want to
just make a motion to have the ordinance.
okay, we have a motion by Ms. Burgess, is there a second?
I'll second that.
By Mr. Cox. Let's put, why don't we just do a roll call on this one?
Aye.
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 Nay.
No.
Motion passes 4-3. Okay.
Yeah, well,
Hold on a second. Let me announce it. New business item 6D, ordinance introduction, discuss changing the speed limit on Government Street between Washington, on Government Street between Washington and Russell Avenue.
so Government Street is just too busy to have 25 mile an hours. Motorcycles and other cars, even on busy Friday and Saturday nights, just speeding through the downtown. We only have, our crosswalk is on crosses Washington, crosses Government Street at Washington, and the next one's not until you get to Glory Bound. And all night long, people are crossing the street, across from Scratch Kitchen to other places, and from, all the whole street. So what I'm asking is to reduce speed limit from 25 to 15 from Government eastward to Russell Avenue.
Requested it. I did request a speed study on that. I received it, but I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. So in the next few days, I can get you the results of that. I think they may have to do there was some anomalies that we're trying to look at to see exactly what the speed is, but I should be able to get that to you within the next week to support whatever.
The MDOT just gave us approval on our traffic parking study, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which I'll have a copy of that coming to us. Anyway, Rick, you want to make that motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we draft the ordinance as written, and I guess for Vicky for the next 2 weeks.
Motion by Mr. Hoffman. Second. Second by Mr. Wade. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. We got 6-1.
No.
5-2, I'm sorry. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, does anyone have an item that they would like to pull that would be addressed? Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved, Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Cox,
Second.
second by Mr. Wade. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to department reports, approved payment claim dockets. All expenditures are appropriate and authorized by law.
So moved.
Summary on the minutes. Motion by Mr. Aldermen,
Second.
second by Mr. Cox. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to accept the monthly budget report. Anyone have any questions?
Make a motion to accept the monthly budget report.
Motion by Mr. Aldermen. Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cox. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, general public comment. At this time, the public is invited to address the board up to 3 minutes each for a maximum of 30 minutes. Only 2 speakers will be allowed per side of an issue. If there's anyone who would like to address the board, please step forward, identify yourself.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Cox, fellow members. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Joseph Nangle. Live on 3928 Baywood. And this is Chase Galloway. He lives on 211 Turnberry Lane Court. Sorry. We just acquired Artsy's Pawn Shop and are in the zone. And I just want to tell you all, thank you all very much for everybody involved. We look to, be very, very prosperous there, and we thank you all so much. We're going to open up the first medical marijuana dispensary here in Ocean Springs, and appreciate y'all so much.
You have the restaurant and the front building?
No, sir, I am leasing the pawn shop from Miss Lillian and Miss Jatar. I'm sorry?
Am I the right spot? I'm thinking.
The pawn shop. It used to be, I guess, an old club called Shockwave or something.
Shockwave, yeah.
But I've been with Swedman for over a decade, and I just want to tell you all from the bottom of my heart, thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the All right, moving on to Mayor and Alderman's Forum. Mr. Alderman and Ms. Burgess.
No, I'm just gonna get with Alan on my list on Monday, but if I can get somebody to come by and hit Bristol. That entryway right there is
Bristol.
that front entrance.
Where's that?
Bristol. And then Stephen, just get back with me on the union over there. That'd be great. But other than that, I'm fine. Thank you for all you guys do.
I just want to tell everybody thank you that for last night, police, fire, parks, everybody that was there last night. It was really nice. Everybody commented on how nice it was, so appreciate it.
Same with me. 4th of July was great. Police
I just have one thing. I'd like to get, Robert, if you would, get with Gary Evans of the county and have a MOU drawn up so that we can join forces with the county to address the landscaping and upkeep of front beach drainage swells and flower beds.
No problem. Troy, I'll give Gary a call tomorrow. And I need to talk to him. I know the chief had a question about something on front beach anyway, so I need to talk to Gary anyway, so I'll try to get them both covered.
We'll probably have to have a meeting to discuss all the details anyway before it's finalized.
We'll start the process.
I'll get to the main topic.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Daniel, welcome home.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Always good or
Missed
bad.
you. Travel the world.
I want to second what Ricky Altman said. We had a great Fourth, folks. I think folks really enjoyed it, and I was amazed this morning on, anyway, the town was nice and clean. Thanks, Alan, for that, as well as it looked like the citizens took a little care to put their used fireworks and beer cans and all in one big pile somewhere. So that was pretty good. Anyway, that's all I have there.
Mike?
I have a request from the group. Most of you are familiar with Tim Old, who does a lot of things around the city. Met with Tim this morning, and he's working with several other businesses around town and other local veterans, representing the Wounded Warrior in Action Federation. What this organization does is they have fundraisers throughout the year, and they take these wounded combat vets on a pheasant hunt in North Dakota. And they've asked to do a fundraiser here on September 24th on the grounds of the Civic Center around the Vietnam Memorial. Basically, it would be a barbecue competition in the back parking lot area, and then some booths set up along, the walking track out there. So basically, I'm asking permission to allow Tim and some local restaurateurs to get together and put this on September 4th at the Civic Center.
Yep.
They're going to have,
see the application.
They're going to get the application. I think Rob was just kind of letting y'all know.
Just kind of letting y'all know that
the application we'll try to get on the agenda for the recess meeting.
it's not a typical location for an event.
You just want us to waive fees.
Correct, yeah. And like I said, this is something I think can start bringing some more awareness to that memorial out there. That's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So the more things we can have there, I think the better. So
It'd be a good fundraiser.
that's all I got.
Mr. Andy?
My weekly question, Alan, any word on paving?
I think the man we need to ask.
Mr. Ross?
I would say fall time period, so we should start looking something up. The contractors we've got now are, they're doing Highway 90 through Goshen. And as soon as they finish that, they should be ready to start working on some of our roads throughout the county, everything that's not that state highway. So I would say fall time. And I told Alan earlier that give me the list of the current that y'all have approved of what you want and what you think needs to be done, so I can go with get with Joe and look through all the be ready that when it does come time to pull the trigger, we don't have to wait.
Yeah, we've got 2 years worth.
Yeah, we've got
It always seems like we have about 2 years worth.
And what about Steel and Lane?
That should be getting pretty close. I know the weather they've had over the last 5 or 6 days probably slowed them down, but I would think by the end of the month or so, not within a month, maybe 30 days. I would think. It's got to be getting close. They've been working on it forever. Do you have any new news?
We're still no way.
They had one driveway left to pour, that was last week, and the weather's held them up.
Are you only using Warren to pave those? So you have to wait on Highway 90 anyway to pave it? Or do you have a second source?
Well, usually Warren is pretty much the contractor now.
Troy, I talked briefly with Randy last week, and he said what he was going to try to get you guys together to do was as soon as they were done with Goshen, before they went to District 1, to have them come take care of that stretch of Ocean Springs Road and still before they head out.
We've got $1 million worth of milling that needs to be done throughout the county right now, but we can't mill anything until we know the pavers are going to be within 3 or 4 weeks. We can't keep roads milled very long.
So talk to Randy.
We probably have more than that.
Troy, talked to Randy on that, because he said that was kind of the plan, was before they left our district to go to 1, was to finish that up.
All right, let's go check for a while. Okay, anything else, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, we had one hire that didn't make the agenda. Make a motion to hire Logan Walters with a tentative start date of Friday, July 29th, 2022, with a starting salary of $13.12 hourly, pending completion of all pre-employment requirements, and that is for the fire department.
Got a motion by Mr. Henry, second by Mr. Blackman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So,
Okay, we have been working with Public Works, identifying issues that they continuously deal with, and trying to match ARPA funds with those areas. The county has requested that we have our request for funding matched to them by Friday. Sarah has a list that identifies the really major issues that Public Works and Sarah have come up with throughout town. Bobby sat in on a meeting with us last week. And so anyway, she's going to give you this list. We're going to have a special call board meeting at 8 a.m. on Thursday to go over that list. And so we can get it to the county by Friday. It'll be basically kind of a synopsis of what we're doing in a particular area, and then Sarah has backed in some numbers to it. We did realize throughout the entire city we're needing about $38 million worth of water, sewer, and drainage, and that's primarily everything. That's the only thing that we're putting in this list. So anyway, we anticipate, like we've been talking about, somewhere just a little south of $18 million when everybody is, if we get the matches that we've been talked to about, and about 20 short, yeah. But anyway, so just look over the list, give Sarah a call if you have any questions, give me a call if you have any questions, and then we'll go over it again in more detail on Thursday morning.
What time, Mayor?
8 o'clock. 8 a.m.
Will I be able to join by Zoom?
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
Thank you.
Does anybody else going to need a Zoom connection?
You're gonna finalize the list of everything that needs to be on the special call tomorrow morning?
Yep.
And I'll post it tomorrow morning?
Yep. There's only going to be 2 items. 3 items? Okay, well, anyway, we'll have it, yeah. It's easy. Other than that, thanks for everybody's work on the 4th of July celebration. I watched it from boat. It was very nice. Long. It was a long display. But anyway, thanks to the county for helping us fund that display. No executive session tonight. That's nope. Okay, need a motion to recess until 6 p.m. Tuesday, July 19th. Call for it. Motion by Ms. Nippy. Second. Mr. Cox. All in favor? Aye.
Good night, Chief.
Nope.
These things, don't do that.